The Forgotten Colony. The distress beacon pulsed weakly into the void, its signal growing fainter with each passing hour. On the control deck of Talaris Colony's central hub, Governor Elena Reyes stared at the communication console, her weathered face illuminated by the emergency lights. Outside, through the reinforced viewport, the sky burned orange and black as Valkyrie warships methodically reduced the outermost settlements to ash. "Any response?" she asked, her voice hoarse from shouting orders for the past 72 hours. Communications Officer Jared Way shook his head. "Nothing from the Confederation. I've boosted the signal through all 3 remaining relay stations. They're receiving us, Governor. They're just not answering." Raves closed her eyes briefly. The Galactic Confederation had made their position clear enough. Talaris was too remote, too insignificant. A human colony established beyond the designated expansion zones, technically in violation of Treaty Ordinance 457. The fact that the Confederation had tacitly permitted the settlement for 20 years meant nothing now that the Valkyrie Empire had decided to claim this sector. "Keep broadcasting," she ordered. "Switch to the old Earth frequencies too." Wei frowned. "Governor, Earth hasn't used those channels in decades. Not since joining the Confederation." "Just do it," Reyes snapped, then softened her tone. Someone might still be listening. The Valkyrie invasion had begun 6 days ago. Their fleet, 12 dreadnoughts and over 30 support vessels, had emerged from hyperspace without warning. No diplomatic contact, no formal declaration of hostilities. They simply appeared and opened fire, targeting the colony's defensive installations first, then methodically working their way through the infrastructure. Talaris had been built to withstand harsh weather and natural disasters, not military bombardment. The colony's modest defense force had managed to evacuate most of the 50,000 settlers into the underground shelters, but their weapons did little against Valkyrie warships. "Governor," the shout came from Major Santos, head of the colony's security forces. He burst onto the command deck, his uniform torn and blackened with soot. "The Valkyrie have landed ground forces at the northern quadrant. They've breached Shelter Complex 3. Reyes felt her blood run cold. "Civilians? We managed to evacuate most before the breach. But they're moving faster than we anticipated. Their infantry units are." Santos hesitated. "They're not taking prisoners." The brutality of the Valkyrie was legendary. A species evolved from apex predators, they had risen to prominence in the galaxy through conquest rather than diplomacy. The Confederation had maintained an uneasy peace with them for nearly a century, largely by ceding disputed territories and avoiding direct confrontation. "How long can we hold them off from the central shelters?" Reyes asked. 24 hours. Maybe less," Santos admitted. "We're arming civilians with whatever we've got left." "But—" An alarm blared, cutting him off. Wei turned to his console, eyes widening. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. Massive energy readings. Reyes felt her heart sink. The Valkyrie reinforcements had arrived. This was the end. "How many ships?" she asked quietly. Wei's hands flew over his console. "Over 300 vessels. Emerging now, but—" He paused, confusion written across his face. "Governor, they're not Valkyrie configurations. The signatures are human." The command deck fell silent. Then the communications console lit up, and a voice filled the room. Clear, authoritative, distinctly human. "Talaris Colony, this is Admiral Helena Chen of the Earth Defense Force flagship Thunderchild. We have received your distress call and are moving to engage hostile forces. Hold your position." On the main view screen, space seemed to tear open as ship after ship emerged from hyperspace. Sleek, angular vessels bristling with weapon systems unlike anything the colonists had ever seen. At their center was a massive dreadnought that dwarfed even the largest Valkyrie warship. "Earth Defense Force," Santos whispered. "Since when does Earth have a fleet like that?" No one had an answer. When Earth had joined the Galactic Confederation 80 years ago, They had agreed to dismantle their military forces in favor of the Confederation's collective security arrangement. As far as anyone knew, Earth maintained only a token defense force, a few dozen outdated patrol ships. What emerged from hyperspace now was no token force. It was an armada. The Earth ships moved with practiced precision, forming a protective screen around the colony while strike groups broke off to engage the Valkyrie vessels. The difference in technology was immediately apparent. Valkyrie energy weapons dissipated harmlessly against the Earth ship shields, while the humans responded with weapons that cut through Valkyrie hulls like they were made of paper. "This is impossible," Y murmured, watching the battle unfold on the tactical display. The Confederation's most advanced ships couldn't stand against the Valkyrie, let alone. His voice trailed off as the massive Earth dreadnought moved into firing position. A moment later, a blinding beam of energy lanced out, bisecting the Valkyrie flagship. The enemy vessel didn't explode so much as disintegrate, coming apart in layers as the beam held steady. "Secondary targets acquired," came Admiral Chen's calm voice over the comm. "All ships engage at will. Ground teams prepare for deployment. We are taking back this colony." Outside, Talaris's sky was alight with new fire, the death throes of Valkyrie warships as they burned and fell. In orbit, the battle was already shifting from engagement to rout as the surviving Valkyrie vessels attempted to flee, only to be cut off by faster Earth ships that seemed to anticipate their every move. Governor Rice found herself gripping the edge of the command console, knuckles white. "Open a channel to the flagship," she ordered. When Admiral Chen's face appeared on the screen, Rice was struck by her youth. The woman couldn't be more than 40, her features composed and confident beneath a cap bearing an insignia Rice didn't recognize. "Admiral Chen," Rice began, finding her voice. "Talaris Colony extends its profound gratitude for your intervention. But I don't understand. The Confederation told us no help was coming. They said Earth had no means to assist us, even if they wanted to." Chen's expression hardened slightly. "The Confederation was misinformed about Earth's capabilities, Governor. Deliberately so. We've been building this fleet in secret for decades, preparing for exactly this kind of situation. But the treaties were signed by politicians who trusted too much and prepared too little." Chen cut in. "Earth never fully disarmed. We simply made sure no one knew what we were developing." Her expression softened slightly. "The important thing is that we're here now. My ground forces will secure your shelters and eliminate any remaining Valkyrie troops. The Thunderchild and her battle group will remain in orbit to ensure they don't return." As if to punctuate her words, another Valkyrie dreadnought exploded silently in the distance. "Admiral," Santos interjected, "the Valkyrie have breached our northern shelters. They're moving toward the central complex where most of our civilians are housed." Chen nodded. "I'm aware, Major. Earth Special Forces have already deployed to that location." She checked something off-screen. "They've engaged the Valkyrie ground troops and are pushing them back. Expect contact within the hour." True to her word, 58 minutes later, the command deck received word that soldiers bearing Earth insignia had secured the perimeter of the central shelter complex. Survivors reported watching in awe as the human soldiers, equipped with powered armor that made them tower over the already massive Valkyrie warriors, tore through the alien ranks with ruthless efficiency. By the time the sun rose over Talaris the next morning, not a single Valkyrie ship remained in orbit. Their ground forces had been eliminated or captured, and Earth dropships were landing in the colony's central plaza, bringing medical teams, supplies, and engineering crews to begin repairs. Standing in the morning light, watching Earth soldiers distribute supplies to shell-shocked colonists, Governor Rice finally asked the question that had been burning in her mind. "Why did you come? The Confederation abandoned us." Even Earth's official representatives said they were bound by the non-intervention treaties. Admiral Chen, who had joined Rice on the surface, looked out over the damaged colony. "Humanity takes care of its own, Governor. Always has, always will." She turned to meet Reyes's gaze directly. The Confederation forgot that. The Valkyrie never knew it. But they're all about to learn. Humanity Unleashed. The Galactic Confederation's Emergency Council convened within hours of the battle at Tellurus. Representatives from 37 species gathered in the great circular chamber on Concordia Station, their faces grim as they watched footage of Earth warships decimating the Valkyrie fleet. "This is unprecedented," declared High Chancellor Vex of the Atraxian domains, his crystalline form pulsing with agitated light. Earth has violated no fewer than 14 Confederation treaties by building and deploying this Armada. Their actions, while perhaps commendable in saving their colony, represent a grave threat to galactic stability. Ambassador Lyanna Moore, Earth's representative to the Confederation, sat calmly amid the storm of accusations. When the chamber finally quieted, she stood, her expression serene but unyielding. "My colleagues," she began, "Earth signed those treaties in good faith, believing the Confederation would uphold its end, to protect all member worlds and their colonies, regardless of technical violations of expansion zones." Her voice hardened. "The Valkyrie launched an unprovoked attack on a civilian settlement. You were informed. You chose to do nothing. The colony was established outside authorized expansion parameters," countered the Mibari delegate, mandibles clicking nervously. "So you left 50,000 humans to die," Moore said flatly. "You left children to die. And you expected Earth to simply accept this." The chamber fell silent. On the central holodisplay, new footage appeared. Earth ships deploying a protective screen around Tellurus, medical teams treating wounded colonists, engineering crews rebuilding destroyed structures. "Earth has never abandoned its people," Moore continued. "Not in all our long and often bloody history. We joined the Confederation hoping to leave behind the cycles of war that scarred our past. We believed in the promise of collective security and mutual defense." "Then why build a secret fleet?" demanded Chancellor Vex. "Why the deception?" Moore's smile was thin. "Because we read our history, Chancellor. Because we remembered what happens to civilizations that forget how to defend themselves." She gestured to the footage. "The fleet you see was built to protect humanity if the Confederation failed us. As it did." In the days that followed, more details emerged about Earth's secret military buildup. For nearly 8 decades, while seemingly embracing the Confederation's peaceful ethos, Earth had been building. Hidden shipyards constructed in the atmospheres of gas giants, research facilities buried beneath the ice of distant moons, training grounds established on uninhabited worlds, all carefully concealed from Confederation oversight. The scope of the deception was staggering. Earth had not only built a fleet that rivaled any in the galaxy, but had developed technologies that surpassed current Confederation standards. Their ships utilized propulsion systems that made them significantly faster in both normal and hyperspace. Their weapons cut through the best Valkyrie shields with ease. Their defense systems rendered most conventional attacks useless. But most shocking to the Confederation species was the revelation that this was not Earth's entire military force, merely the battle group that had been closest to Tellurus when the distress call came in. The political ramifications were immediate and far-reaching. The Valkyrie Empire, humiliated by their defeat, withdrew from border regions and issued formal demands that the Confederation restrain Earth's unchecked aggression. Several smaller powers sought immediate defensive alliances with Earth, while others called for sanctions against humanity for treaty violations. At Tellurus, oblivious to the political storm, the work of rebuilding continued. Admiral Chen had established a permanent Earth Defense Force base in orbit, with Governor Rice's full blessing. The colony, once isolated and vulnerable, was now among the most heavily protected human settlements outside the Sol system. 3 weeks after the battle, a Confederation diplomatic vessel arrived at Tellurus, carrying a delegation led by Chancellor Vex himself. They requested a meeting with Admiral Chen and Governor Rice, ostensibly to discuss normalization of relations and the colony status. The meeting took place in the newly rebuilt Colonial Administration Building. Chen, still wearing her fleet uniform with its unfamiliar insignia, sat beside Reyes as the Confederation representatives filed in. Admiral, Governor, Chancellor Vex began, his crystalline form carefully modulated to project calm diplomacy. The Confederation wishes to express its regret over the unfortunate circumstances that led to this misunderstanding. Misunderstanding, Reyes repeated, her voice dangerously quiet. You call the near genocide of our colony a misunderstanding. The invasion was deplorable, Vex conceded, but Earth's response has created a dangerous precedent. The treaties that maintain peace fail to protect our people. Chen interrupted. Those treaties are worth nothing if they don't ensure security for all signatories. Vex's crystalline surface rippled with barely contained frustration. Admiral, surely you understand that revealing Earth's military capabilities so dramatically has destabilized the entire region. The Valkyrie are threatening retaliatory strikes against other human settlements. Several Confederation members are now questioning whether Earth has imperial ambitions of its own. Chen leaned forward. Let me be clear, Chancellor. Earth has no desire for conquest or empire. What we desire is simple: security for our people, wherever they may be. The fleet that saved Talaris is a defensive force, but make no mistake, it will defend. And the treaty violations, pressed a Mybari diplomat. Consider them renegotiated, Reyes said firmly. Talaris stands with Earth. Any future agreements must acknowledge our right to proper defense. The meeting ended without resolution, but the message was clear. Humanity would no longer rely solely on Confederation promises for security. The Earth Defense Force remained in orbit around Talaris, a silent but unmistakable declaration of Earth's new policy. In the months that followed, the galaxy adjusted to this new reality. The Valkyrie, despite their threats, launched no further attacks on human settlements. Several Confederation members quietly approached Earth about military cooperation and technology exchange, while others distanced themselves, wary of humanity's newfound strength. On Talaris, life gradually returned to normal. The colony expanded, now secure under Earth's protection. New settlers arrived, drawn by the promise of safety that few frontier worlds could offer. One evening, as Talaris's twin moons rose over the reconstructed Central Plaza, Admiral Chen found Governor Reyes standing at the colony's memorial, a simple stone obelisk engraved with the names of those lost in the Valkyrie attack. The Confederation's Intelligence Council wants to know where we built the ships, Chen said without preamble. They're convinced we must have had help from outside powers. Reyes smiled faintly. What did you tell them? The truth. That we built them ourselves, in secret, because humanity has never forgotten what it means to fight for survival. Chen gazed up at the stars, where the running lights of Earth vessels were visible in orbit. They don't understand us. They never have. And that's their mistake, Reyes said softly. They look at our history and see only the violence, the wars, the destruction. They don't see what those struggles taught us, that survival sometimes requires sacrifice, and that you never, ever abandon your own people. Above them, silent and vigilant, Earth's mightiest fleet held position, a promise to all human worlds that echoed across the galaxy. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. And if danger comes, we will be there. The Valkyrie had believed no one would come to aid a distant, technically illegal colony. The Confederation had believed Earth was a minor power, bound by treaties and content with peace at any price. They had all underestimated humanity's oldest, most fundamental truth. When one of their own cries out in the darkness, humanity answers, and they come with fire.